what Zoids would the Straw Hat Pirates have? Hey guys, long time no see. Today we're going over a question that's been asked for quite a while. What Zoids would the Straw Hat Pirates have? And of course, it's always just my personal opinion. You can feel free to speculate on your own. So let's go. Starting off, Captain Monkey D. Luffy.
I'm gonna be the king of the pirates!
I've been thinking about Luffy quite a bit. The obvious answer is some kind of primate. Like maybe an Iron Kong. Maybe a Ray Kong. Deadly Kong? But in the end, I realized none of the primate Zoids really screamed Luffy to me, so I decided on Hunter Wolf. But not the heavily armed Victor Spiegel version. And of course not the police version. But rather the stock standard Hunter Wolf. Now hear me out. My first reason is I think a wild Zoid suits his love for freedom a lot better than a combat Zoid. But also Hunter Wolf is one of the few Zoids with multiple gears. It's got its standard mode, you can see here, as most Zoids do. But its back wings open up here to create a sonic booster, making it incredibly fast. But then it has another mode where all the equipment flips forward and makes a sonic cannon.
Second gear!
So in my opinion, I think a Hunter Wolf fits him better than an Iron Kong. Next up, the first recruited member of the Straw Hat Pirates, Roronoa Zoro.
We're not just pretending to be pirates. This isn't a game. I will become the king of hell.
My first instinct is Liger Zero Schneider with its 7 different blades. But despite Zoro being known in the anime fandom as the guy with too many swords, he has actually decreased his number from 9 down to 3. Turns out you don't need 9 swords. My other vote for Zoro would be Hayate Liger from Zoids Genesis. It's a high-speed Liger type with 2 blades, 1 on each front leg, with writing along each blade. It's definitely a cool Liger. I haven't managed to snag one yet, but honestly, I feel like I'm leaning a little bit towards more Hayate than Schneider. Next up, the cat burglar, Nami.
You might be remarkably strong, but I can predict the weather, and I'm never wrong. My friends are waiting for me.
I was thinking of a few different Zoids for Nami. The first thing that came to mind is she is a cat burglar, so something stealthy. And Zoids has had several stealth models like Hellcat and Shadow Fox. But then I remembered that Nami also quite appreciates her weather-based attacks. And the only Zoid that has stealth tech and lightning attacks is Liger Zero X. It was a model developed by the Empire. It is lacking some armor, so it's something of a glass cannon, but it does have stealth technology and lightning attacks, making it really a perfect fit for our cat burglar Nami. Next up, Sniper King himself, Usopp.
That's perfect. Don't go easy on me.
Hey there, beautiful. Can I buy you a drink?
This one was easy. Naturally, the Sniper King should get the Snipe Master. While not as popular or suited to close and mid-range attacks as Gun Sniper, the Snipe Master sacrifices those things for optimum sniping capabilities. It's a really fun little Zoid, and someday I hope we see it in more media. Next up, the chef of the Straw Hats, Vince Smoke Sanji.
There's still food on your plate. Don't waste it. Finish it. You don't know the value of food. Or how much effort goes into cooking.
For Sanji, I naturally started immediately thinking of what Zoids use like flamethrowers or something. But then I remembered that Sanji's primary role is the chef. He would want something utilitarian. So I chose Brastel Tiger. Brastel Tiger is a thick, chunky kitty from the Genesis era. It has thermal-based weaponry, and you can actually use it for more than just fighting. Turns out, based on this artwork by Mercy Rabbit, you can also use it as a portable hot water heater, which means you could definitely cook with it. So I think Brastel Tiger is the perfect fit for Sanji. It's got thermal-based weaponry, he can use it for cooking, and to make a portable hot spring for all the lovely ladies in One Piece and on Planet Z. Next up, the only reason the Straw Hats have managed to live this long, Tony Chopper.
Did it go up? Hey! Is this some kind of joke?
Once again, I'm torn between 2 different Zoids. Of course, my first thought was, what's the closest thing Zoids has to a reindeer? Well, there's Lance Stag, more of a moose, but it's a pretty interesting Zoid that was in the Genesis era. But oddly enough, my second choice is Catalga, the big caterpillar type Zoid. The first reason is that this thing is mostly used for transport, so I feel like Chopper could easily turn this thing into medical transport. And the second reason being that its Wild Blast mode has a horrifying drill face underneath, turning into a horrifying caterpillar monster. Which I think fits Chopper pretty well. He's usually pretty adorable, right up until somebody decides to cross that line. Although one minor change I would make to Catalga is I would totally put antlers on. Next up, the Straw Hat's archaeologist, the lovely but kind of morbid Nico Robin.
I'm good at maneuvering through obstacles to achieve a goal. I'd be a great asset to you and your friends.
You're full of confidence. What's your specialty?
Killing.
Robin is an interesting character, which means she needs an interesting Zoid. Something that would most likely be support for the rest of the Straw Hat, possibly something flying, like I thought maybe Reno, since it has that nice little radar dish on the back of it. I also considered Rainbow Jerk from Zoids Genesis, great support Zoids, but I decided on Gary Yuki. Only because not only is Gary Yuki a fantastic support Zoid, but Robin could also use it in her archaeology endeavors. For those unfamiliar with Gary Yuki, these orange panels along its body can absorb and redirect charged particle blasts, so it's excellent to have around if your enemy keeps blasting those things all over the place. But it can also shed chunks of its armor to make support-type drones. In this case, it can make a horseshoe crab for underwater scouting, and it can also make a sparrow type, so it can also scout the air. So Gary Yuki is a fantastic support Zoid, and I think not only could Nico Robin use this for combat purposes, but also in archaeology. Next up, the Straw Hat shipwright, our boy, Frankie. Frankie's an interesting guy, and honestly I could see him piloting any Zoid and just having an absolute blast with it. My first thought was Iron Kong PK, because it's a big gorilla-type Zoid, and it just has every piece of equipment you could ever want on it. But then I was given the suggestion of Elephander instead. And honestly, I kind of like it better. Like the Liger Zero, Elephander was built with super easy customization in mind, essentially on the fly in the middle of battle. The model kit even comes stock right out of the box with 3 different loadouts you can put this thing in. So I feel like a guy like Frankie would have an absolute blast just customizing his Elephander with tons of different crazy weapons, equipments, and loadouts. Plus, if you run out of fancy equipment, it still hits like a truck. Next up, the Straw Hat's bard, the undead king of rock, Soul King Brook.
My name is of no consequence. It's Brook. I died once and became a skeleton. And now that I live again, my second life is devoted to the Straw Hat crew!
Brook is odd, but funny. Honestly, I'm not even sure if he can die or not. You know, again. Now, there are a few Zoids that use sound-based weaponry, and there's a good few Zoids that have a skeletal look to them. And I settled on the unreleased Bio-Spino. Not only does it look like a walking creepy skeleton of a dinosaur, which is pretty awesome, but based on what little info and artwork we have of this thing, it seems like its powers might be similar to Dark Spiner, where it's able to paralyze its opponents. So yeah, for Brook, I think I'm gonna go with the unreleased Bio-Spino. Also, Biozoids in general are just kind of weird, but I kind of like them.
You can call me the Soul King.
And finally, the newest member of the Straw Hat Pirates, first son of the sea, Jinbei.
So sorry to keep you waiting, but I thank you for indulging me.
Love this guy, he's pretty great. For Jinbei, it was suggested that possibly Hammerhead, or maybe even Hammer Kaiser? Whale King, of course, was also suggested. But for Jinbei, I think I'm gonna go with the lesser-known Whale Kaiser. It's a little bit old school, but just look at how cute and thick it is! It's adorable and I want one so much. I want to pet it. It's such a shame this thing never got an official model kit release. This is a fan-made custom, but it's so cute. But those are my choices for the Zoids of the Straw Hat Pirates. Let me know what you guys think, and feel free to suggest any more IPs we should do this with. Zoid on.